A girl embraces her dead father in his coffin. But what happened next was a miracle. Michael was the kind of man whose entire existence revolved around his family. From dawn to dusk, he worked tirelessly, his calloused hands and tired eyes a testament to his unwavering commitment. Growing up, Michael had learned early on the importance of hard work. Life had never been easy for him, but he wore his struggles like a badge of honor, determined to give his wife, Emma, and their young daughter, Lily, a life filled with love and opportunity. To them, he wasn't just a father or a husband. He was their rock, their provider, and their protector. In the mornings, Michael would rise before the sun, slipping out of bed quietly so as not to wake Emma. He loved to stand in the doorway of Lily's room, watching her sleep with her tiny hand clutching a well-loved stuffed bear. Those moments of quiet reflection were his greatest treasures. He often thought about how much his life had changed since Lily came into the world. She wasn't just his daughter. She was his reason to push through every hardship, every sleepless night, every ache and pain from his physically demanding jobs. Despite his demanding schedule, Michael always made time for his family. On weekends, he'd take Lily to the park, teaching her to ride a bike or pushing her on the swings as her laughter filled the air. Evenings were reserved for family dinners where they would share stories of their day. Emma would often tease Michael about his terrible jokes, but the way her eyes sparkled with affection when she laughed was all he needed to keep the jokes coming. Emma was Michael's anchor, the love of his life. They had met by chance at a small fruit stall where Michael worked during his early 20s. He remembered the first time he saw her, standing under a shared umbrella during a sudden downpour. Her laughter at the absurdity of the situation had warmed him on that chilly day. Over time, their connection grew, and soon they were inseparable. Emma's support had been unwavering as Michael juggled odd jobs to make ends meet. Together, they dreamed of a future where they could provide their child with everything they never had. Their dreams became reality the day Lily was born. Michael, who had always been a stoic man, was moved to tears when he held his daughter for the first time. She was so small, so fragile, and yet she filled him with an indescribable strength. From that day forward, his life had a new purpose: to be the best father he could be. He took pride in teaching Lily about the little things in life, like how to tie her shoes or the importance of saying thank you. Every milestone she reached felt like a personal victory for Michael. Life, however, was not without its challenges. Michael's childhood had been anything but easy. Raised in poverty in a small, run-down neighborhood, he had lost his parents at a young age. His father had been a factory worker who dreamed of a better life for his family, while his mother had a quiet strength that kept them together through tough times. After their passing, Michael inherited their unfulfilled hopes and an iron resolve to create a life that would honor their sacrifices. Michael's early years were spent working whatever jobs he could find. From construction sites to factory shifts, he was never afraid to get his hands dirty. These experiences shaped him into the man he was: hardworking, humble, and fiercely protective of those he loved. His work ethic became the cornerstone of his identity, and it was something he was determined to pass on to Lily. Despite his tough exterior, Michael had a tender heart, especially when it came to Emma and Lily. He often told Emma that she had saved him, that her love had given him the strength to keep going when life felt unbearable. Together, they had built a small but happy home filled with laughter, love, and the promise of a brighter future. Lily's presence only deepened their bond, transforming their home into a haven of warmth and joy. Michael's dedication to his family was evident in every aspect of his life. He worked long hours without complaint, often sacrificing his own comfort to ensure that Emma and Lily had everything they needed. Yet, despite the weight of his responsibilities, he never let it show. To Emma and Lily, Michael was a hero, a man who could fix anything, whether it was a broken toy or a broken heart. In the eyes of his community, Michael was an unsung hero, a man who quietly went about his life with integrity and kindness. He was the neighbor who would shovel your driveway after a snowstorm or lend you a hand with a heavy load. His humility and generosity made him beloved by all who knew him, but it was his unwavering love for his family that defined him. As Michael's funeral day approached, the loss of such a man was deeply felt, not only by his family, but by everyone whose life he had touched. The sense of emptiness in the air was almost palpable, as if the world itself mourned the passing of someone truly extraordinary. For Emma and Lily, the grief was all-consuming, a relentless ache that no words could soothe. Yet, amidst their sorrow, they clung to the memories of Michael, the man who had been their everything. The funeral was meant to be a farewell, but it would soon become something far more profound, a moment that would remind them all of the miracles that love could create, even in the face of loss. Michael had always believed that the simplest things in life often led to the most profound changes. That belief was proven true the day he met Emma. It was an ordinary day at the fruit stall where Michael worked, a small setup by the roadside selling apples, oranges, and other fresh produce. Business was slow, and Michael was rearranging the fruits for the third time that morning when the first drops of rain began to fall. He looked up, realizing too late that he hadn't brought an umbrella. Resigned to getting wet, he decided to focus on his work when a soft voice interrupted him. "Would you like to share this umbrella?" Michael looked up to see a woman with striking eyes and a warm smile. She stood there holding a bright yellow umbrella, her face lit with a kind of radiance that immediately caught his attention. He hesitated for a moment, but the rain was coming down harder and her gesture seemed genuine. "Thank you," he said awkwardly, stepping under the umbrella. As they stood there, water splashing onto the ground around them, they began to talk. She introduced herself as Emma, a teacher who had been on her way to buy groceries. Michael found himself drawn to her laughter, which seemed to make the dreary weather feel like a summer day. She teased him about his overripe bananas and mismatched price signs, and for the first time in a long while, Michael laughed. That chance meeting became the foundation of something beautiful. Emma started visiting the fruit stall more frequently, always with a friendly smile and a question about Michael's day. They began to share small moments, a cup of tea after a long day, a walk in the park when the weather was nice, and eventually a deep connection that neither of them had expected. Emma brought a sense of warmth and lightness to Michael's life, and he, in turn, offered her a quiet strength and unwavering support. Their love story was simple but profound. Michael proposed to Emma one rainy evening under the same yellow umbrella that had brought them together. She laughed, her eyes brimming with tears, and said yes without hesitation. They were married in a modest ceremony attended by close friends and family. Despite their humble beginnings, their hearts were full of dreams for the future. The arrival of Lily turned those dreams into reality. For years, Michael and Emma had longed for a child, but it seemed like it might not happen. When Emma finally became pregnant, It felt like a miracle. Michael was overjoyed, spending hours reading books about fatherhood and preparing for the baby's arrival. When Lily was born, she became the center of their world. From the very beginning, Michael was a hands-on father. He would wake up in the middle of the night to rock Lily back to sleep, sing her lullabies, and tell her stories about his childhood. He loved watching her grow, celebrating every small milestone, from her first smile to her first steps. Lily was curious and bright, often asking questions that made Michael laugh and marvel at her sharp mind. The bond between Michael and Lily was unbreakable. She loved to sit on his lap while he worked on fixing things around the house, or to join him in the garden as he planted flowers for Emma. Michael believed in teaching her about the value of hard work and kindness, lessons he hoped she would carry with her throughout her life. But life, as it often does, threw the family a curveball. On Lily's 5th birthday, the house was filled with laughter and the smell of freshly baked cake. Michael had spent the morning putting up balloons and assembling a new bike he had bought for her. As Lily blew out her candles, surrounded by friends and family, Michael felt a sharp pain in his chest. He tried to brush it off, not wanting to ruin the celebration, but the pain intensified. Emma noticed immediately that something was wrong. She rushed to his side, her face etched with worry. Michael collapsed before he could reassure her. The next few hours were a blur of ambulances, hospital lights, and worried faces. The diagnosis was devastating, a terminal illness that had gone undetected until it was too late. The days that followed were some of the hardest the family had ever faced. Michael, who had always been the pillar of strength, found himself growing weaker with each passing day. Emma tried to hold it together, but the stress and grief weighed heavily on her. Lily, though too young to fully understand what was happening, sensed the change in their home. Michael made the most of the time he had left. He spent his days with Lily, teaching her as much as he could, from how to tie her shoelaces to the importance of being kind to others. He told her stories about his life, sharing pieces of his past that he hoped would inspire her. One afternoon, as they sat together in the garden, Lily asked him a question that took him by surprise. "Daddy, are you going to leave us?" Michael's heart broke, but he managed to smile. "I'll always be with you, Lily. You might not see me, but I'll be in your heart every step of the way." From that moment on, Lily became a source of strength for Michael. Her laughter and curiosity brought joy to his final days, helping him to focus on the love and beauty in his life, rather than the pain of what he was losing. Emma, too, found solace in their shared moments, even as she prepared herself for the inevitable. As Michael's health declined, the family drew closer together, cherishing the time they had left. They created memories that would stay with them forever, moments of love and connection that no illness could take away. The day Michael was admitted to the hospital for the final time, the reality of their situation became unavoidable. Emma sat by his bedside, her hands tightly gripping his as the steady beeping of the monitors echoed in the room. She felt a heavy mix of emotions, fear, sadness, and helplessness, but above all, an overwhelming desire to be strong for Michael and Lily. Michael, despite his frail appearance, managed a warm smile whenever Lily entered the room. Her presence was like a burst of sunshine, momentarily erasing the pain and worry that filled the air. Lily, with her innocent curiosity, would climb onto the edge of his hospital bed, her tiny legs dangling as she asked him questions about everything from the stars to why bees made honey. Michael cherished these moments, knowing they were fleeting. One afternoon, While Emma stepped out to speak with the doctor, Lily sat alone with her father. Her big, curious eyes studied him carefully before she asked a question that no 5-year-old should ever have to ask. "Daddy, why do you look so tired all the time? Are you going to go away?" Michael's heart ached, but he knew he couldn't lie to her. He gently took her small hand in his and said, "Lily, sometimes people get very, very tired, and their bodies can't keep going like they used to. But even if I'm not here, I'll always be with you. Every time you see the stars or hear the wind, that's me reminding you that I love you." Lily didn't fully understand, but she nodded, trusting her father's words. "Will you still tell me bedtime stories?" she asked, her voice trembling. Michael smiled, his eyes glistening with tears. "Of course. I'll whisper them to you in your dreams." From that moment on, Lily became Michael's greatest source of strength. She insisted on drawing pictures for him every day, her small hands working diligently to create colorful depictions of their family, gardens, and even the stars he had mentioned. Each time she handed him a drawing, she'd say, "So you won't forget us, Daddy." Emma, too, found comfort in Lily's resilience. But there were moments when the weight of their situation overwhelmed her. One evening, as Michael slept and Lily dozed off in a chair, Emma broke down. She sat in the corner of the hospital room, tears streaming down her face as she silently begged for more time. She didn't want to lose the man who had been her partner, her rock, and the love of her life. When Michael woke and saw her, he reached out a trembling hand. "Emma," he whispered, his voice barely audible. She rushed to his side, taking his hand in hers. "I need you to promise me something." Emma nodded through her tears. "Anything." "Promise me you'll live fully. For Lily, for yourself. Don't let this pain take away all the joy we've had. Keep my memory alive, but don't let it hold you back. You have to be strong for her." Emma nodded again, her heart breaking, but understanding his wish. "I promise," she said, her voice steady despite the tears. As the days went by, Michael's health declined rapidly. His once strong body was now frail, and even speaking took great effort. But he refused to let his condition dampen the love and laughter he wanted his family to remember. With Lily at his side, he shared stories of his childhood, moments of joy, and lessons he hoped she would carry with her. In his final days, Michael took time to write letters to both Emma and Lily. For Emma, he poured out his love and gratitude, reminding her of all the beautiful moments they had shared and urging her to continue finding happiness. For Lily, he left words of wisdom and encouragement, reminding her to be kind, curious, and brave. On the last evening, as the sun set and cast a warm golden glow across the room, Michael held Emma's hand tightly. Lily sat on his lap, her tiny head resting against his chest. They stayed that way for a long time, wrapped in each other's love. When Michael finally took his last breath, it was with a peaceful expression, surrounded by the two people he loved most in the world. The days following Michael's passing were a blur for Emma. The house felt emptier than ever, and the weight of her promise to him felt almost unbearable. But every time she saw Lily's face, she found a reason to keep going. Lily, despite her young age, seemed to carry a piece of Michael's strength. She would often hug Emma tightly and say, "It's okay, Mummy. Daddy said he's still with us." As the funeral day approached, Emma prepared herself for what she knew would be one of the hardest moments of her life. She dressed Lily in a simple white dress, brushing her hair gently and trying to keep her emotions in check. Lily, holding a small bouquet of daisies she had picked from the garden, looked up at her mother and said, "I think Daddy will like these." At the funeral, Friends and family gathered to pay their respects. The room was filled with quiet sobs and shared memories of Michael's kindness, generosity, and unwavering love for his family. Emma stood by the casket, her hand resting on the smooth wood as she whispered a final goodbye. But it was Lily who surprised everyone. With the confidence and innocence only a child could possess, Lily walked up to the casket, placing her daisies carefully on top. She leaned forward, wrapping her small arms around it in an embrace. "Goodbye, Daddy," she whispered, her voice breaking. "I love you." In that moment, something extraordinary happened. A white dove flew down from a nearby tree, landing gently on the casket. The room fell silent as everyone watched in awe. The dove remained there for several seconds, its presence a soothing balm for the heavy grief that filled the air. Lily looked at the bird with wide eyes and then turned to Emma. "Mommy, it's Daddy. He's saying goodbye." Emma's breath caught and tears streamed down her face. She knew it wasn't possible, but in that moment, she felt Michael's presence so strongly it was as if he was standing beside her. The dove took flight, circling the crowd before disappearing into the sky. That single moment transformed the grief of the day into something much more profound. It was a sign, a miracle that reminded everyone that love, even in the face of death, could transcend the boundaries of this world. For Emma and Lily, it became the symbol of Michael's enduring love and presence, a memory they would carry with them forever. The day of Michael's funeral arrived, and the world seemed to echo the family's sorrow. The sky was overcast, with clouds heavy and low, mirroring the weight on Emma's heart. She dressed in silence, her movements slow and deliberate. In the next room, Lily sat on her bed, carefully placing a small white ribbon in her hair. The simple gesture was her way of honoring her father. When Emma walked in to check on her, she found Lily holding a small, stuffed bear, the one Michael had given her on her 3rd birthday. "Are you ready, sweetheart?" Emma asked softly. Lily nodded, but clutched the bear tighter. "Do you think Daddy will see us today?" she asked, her voice small. Emma knelt in front of her, brushing a stray curl from Lily's face. "I think he'll be watching, and I know he'd be proud of you." Together, they made their way to the funeral home, where friends and family had already begun to gather. The room was filled with hushed whispers, the air thick with grief. Emma felt a knot in her stomach as she stepped through the doors, her hand gripping Lily's. She hadn't wanted this day to come, but here it was, forcing her to confront a reality she wasn't sure she could face. The casket was positioned at the front of the room, surrounded by an array of flowers that seemed to pale in comparison to the vibrancy Michael had brought to their lives. Emma hesitated for a moment before approaching, her steps unsteady. Standing before the casket, she reached out a trembling hand, resting it on the polished wood. Her throat tightened as memories of Michael flooded her mind. His laugh, the warmth of his embrace, the way his eyes lit up when he talked about their future. Lily, standing by her side, looked up at Emma and then at the casket. With quiet determination, she let go of her mother's hand and stepped forward. She held the small bouquet of daisies she had picked that morning and carefully placed it on top of the casket. The room fell silent as she leaned in, wrapping her tiny arms around it. "Goodbye, Daddy," she whispered. "I love you. Don't worry about us. I'll take care of Mommy." The simplicity of her words struck everyone in the room. There was a raw honesty in her farewell that cut through the heaviness of the moment. Tears streamed down Emma's face as she watched her daughter, marveling at her strength. Then something extraordinary happened. As Lily stepped back, a soft fluttering sound filled the room. A white dove, seemingly out of nowhere, flew down and landed gently on the casket. Gasps echoed among the mourners, and for a moment, time seemed to stand still. The bird sat there, perfectly still, its feathers shimmering softly under the dim lights. Lily's eyes widened with wonder. "Mommy, look! It's Daddy!" she exclaimed, her voice filled with awe. Emma stared at the dove, her breath catching in her the throw. Rationally, she knew it wasn't possible, but in her heart, she felt something profound, a presence, a warmth, as though Michael was there with them. The dove remained for several seconds, its calm demeanor bringing an unexplainable sense of peace to the room. Then, as gracefully as it had arrived, it took flight, circling the room once before disappearing into the grey sky. The atmosphere in the room shifted. The grief, while still present, was joined by a sense of wonder and hope. People whispered among themselves, calling the dove a sign, a miracle, a message from Michael. For Emma and Lily, it became an unforgettable moment, a tangible reminder that Michael's love would always be with them. In the days that followed the funeral, Emma and Lily began to find ways to carry on. Life without Michael was unimaginably hard, but they clung to the promise he had made, that he would always be with them. Emma found solace in small things, cooking Michael's favorite meals, tending to the garden he had loved so much, and reading the letters he had left for them. Lily, too, found her own ways of keeping her father's memory alive. She would sit by the window at night, staring at the stars and whispering, "Good night, Daddy." She carried the stuffed bear everywhere, telling everyone it was her way of keeping her dad close. But what stood out the most was her unwavering belief in the miracle of the dove. Whenever she felt sad or scared, she would say, "Daddy sent the dove to remind us he's okay." As time passed, Emma began to see pieces of Michael in Lily, the way her eyes lit up with curiosity, her determination to solve puzzles, and her kind heart. She realized that, in a way, Michael wasn't entirely gone. His legacy lived on in their daughter, in the love and values he had instilled in her. Emma also leaned on the support of her community. Friends and neighbors who had admired Michael's kindness and generosity rallied around her and Lily, offering help and companionship. Slowly but surely, Emma started to feel a sense of purpose again. She threw herself into creating a stable and joyful life for Lily, just as Michael had wanted. The memory of the dove became a cherished story they told often, a beacon of hope on difficult days. Lily loved to recount it, her eyes lighting up as she described how the bird had landed on the casket and stayed, as if delivering a message from her father. Emma would listen with a smile, her heart filled with a bittersweet mixture of sadness and gratitude. Years later, the story of the dove became a treasured part of their family lore. It was passed down through generations as a reminder of love, resilience, and the miracles that can arise even in the darkest times. For Emma and Lily, it was a symbol of the unbreakable bond they shared with Michael, a bond that no amount of time or distance could ever sever. As the years went by, Emma and Lily began to adapt to a life without Michael, though his absence was a wound that never fully healed. They honored his memory in small, meaningful ways that brought comfort and kept his spirit alive in their hearts. Every Sunday, they would visit the garden Michael had planted, tending to the flowers with the same care he had always shown. The vibrant blooms became a symbol of his enduring love. Each petal a reminder that beauty could flourish even after hardship. Lily grew into a bright, compassionate young girl, embodying all the values her father had worked so hard to teach her. She was kind to everyone she met, quick to lend a helping hand, and endlessly curious about the world around her. At school, her teachers often commented on her empathy and maturity, qualities that set her apart from her peers. She loved to tell stories about her father, sharing his lessons and memories as if keeping them alive was her life's mission. One evening, as they sat on the porch watching the sunset, Lily turned to Emma with a thoughtful expression. "Mommy, do you think Daddy can see us right now?" Emma smiled gently, brushing a strand of hair from Lily's face. "I think he can, sweetheart. And I know he's proud of you. Everything you do, every time you show kindness or courage, it's like you're carrying a piece of him with you." Lily nodded, her gaze fixed on the horizon. "I hope he knows that I'm trying to make him proud." Emma's heart swelled with both pride and sorrow. "He knows, Lily. He always will." As Lily grew older, the story of the dove became an integral part of their family history. She would recount it to her friends and even wrote about it for a school project on miracles. Her teacher was so moved by the story that she shared it with the class, sparking a discussion about faith, hope, and the enduring power of love. For Lily, the dove wasn't just a symbol of her father's presence. It was a source of strength she could draw on whenever life felt overwhelming. Emma, too, found solace in the story. In her moments of doubt or sadness, she would remember the dove's serene landing on Michael's casket and the profound sense of peace it had brought. It reminded her that love transcended even the greatest losses, and that Michael's presence was woven into the fabric of their lives in ways she couldn't always see but could always feel. As time passed, Emma began to rebuild her life. She returned to work, found new hobbies, and formed deeper connections with her community. Though she never stopped loving Michael, she allowed herself to find joy again, knowing it was what he would have wanted. Her resilience became an inspiration to others, a testament to the strength of the human spirit in the face of profound loss. Lily, now a teenager, continued to grow into an extraordinary young woman. She excelled academically and became involved in community service, organizing fundraisers and volunteering at shelters. She often credited her father for her drive to make the world a better place. "He taught me to see the good in people," she would say, "and to never stop trying to help." On the anniversary of Michael's passing, Emma and Lily would light a candle and sit together in the garden, sharing their favorite memories of him. It was a bittersweet tradition, one that brought both tears and laughter. They would talk about his terrible jokes, his unwavering work ethic, and the way he had made every moment with them feel special. One year, as they sat under the stars, Lily looked up and smiled. "Do you think we'll ever see the dove again?" Emma thought for a moment before answering. "I don't know, but I think the dove was never really about being seen again. It was about reminding us that he's always here, even when we can't see him." Lily nodded, her eyes shimmering with unshed tears. "I hope he knows we're okay now." Emma placed a comforting arm around her daughter. "He knows, Lily, and I think he's proud of how far we've come." As Lily prepared to graduate from high school, she decided to give a speech at the ceremony. She spoke about resilience, hope, and the importance of cherishing the people you love. Toward the end of her speech, she shared the story of the dove, describing how that single moment had changed her and her mother's lives forever. The audience was moved to tears, and her words left an indelible mark on everyone who heard them. After the ceremony, Emma embraced Lily tightly, her heart brimming with pride. Your father would have been so proud of you," she said, her voice thick with emotion. Lily smiled, her eyes shining. "I know, Mom. I carry him with me every day." Years later, as Emma watched her daughter navigate life with grace and determination, she felt a profound sense of fulfillment. Though life had taken an unimaginable turn all those years ago, she knew they had found a way to honor Michael's memory while creating a new, beautiful chapter of their lives. The story of the dove became a treasured piece of their family's history, passed down through generations as a symbol of love, resilience, and the miraculous power of hope. It was a story that reminded them, and everyone who heard it, that even in the darkest moments, love has the power to transcend, to heal, and to create miracles. And for Emma and Lily, it was a testament to the enduring legacy of the man who had been their everything.